Hi, everyone. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. If you'd like to drop your introductions into the chat today, let us know your name, location, job role, Twitter handle if you have one to build your personal learning network, and your favorite book of all time. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks, everyone. Welcome, Lauren. Lorna, thanks for your introduction. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us, please feel free to drop your introduction into the chat. Your name, location, job role, Twitter handle if you have one, and favorite book of all time to get us ready for our English adventures today. Hi, Jihi. Great to have you here. Everything is your favorite book. Wonderful. Great to see you here. Hi, Fortuna. Hello, David. Very difficult to choose, Infinite Jest or the instructions. I hope you're like me, everybody, and you're writing these down for your new book reads. Thanks, David, for coming. Great to see you here, Anne. Great to have you. Harriet the Spy, yes, 100%. Hi, Hossam. Great to have you here from Egypt. You love all about books. Fantastic. Okay, everyone, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. You are here today with our Cambridge Assessment English Adventures with Minecraft webinar. Thank you so much for coming. We've got a really cool map to show you today, some lessons, and really we're going to be looking at English skills for A1 level learners, and we'll look at an integrated approach to learning alongside games and immersive language learning experience. And we've got some special guest speakers with us today. Before we get started and jump into the map, We will have them introduce themselves, and then they'll review the actual map itself. You can feel free to open it up as well and play along with us today. We'll also review the related lessons, and we'll have a door prize. So if you want to ask a question or share in the chat, we'll give away a couple of door prizes at the end. So please get engaged with us and connect with us today. If you're brand new to Minecraft, you do want to go ahead and download that today. And you can either use our trial version, or if you have Minecraft at your school, your login will let you and your students log in. If you need help after today while you're playing with your students, you can make a ticket. And I've got this aka.ms/mee_new_request. And that goes straight to our support team, and they can help you out with any issues you might be having. We also hope you join our community after today. If you want to talk about lesson planning with English, with this world in particular, go to educommunity.minecraft.net. And some of our amazing mentors are in this community so that they can help you out, and you can learn from others. We also hope you might be interested in becoming certified one day. By joining that community, you can get a community badge. If you take our certified teacher course online for free at aka.ms/mee teacher academy, you can get your certified teacher badge, and then you're eligible to become a global mentor if you'd like to help others learn how to use Minecraft Education Edition. After today, if you would like to be partnered with a mentor, we have coaches that are ready and willing to meet with you for 30 minutes for free to talk about your first lesson or how you might use this Cambridge English Adventures in your classroom. The aka.ms/mee mentor request, we match it twice a month. So if you fill out that form, you'll get an email introducing you to a mentor to set up a time to chat. And then, of course, on Twitter, if you are on there, feel free to share #MinecraftEDU, any interesting aha moments you have today. And we'll choose both from Twitter and the chat today for our door prize at the end. And if you want, you can set yourself up for the workshop. You can have us open on Teams. You can open up Minecraft and get your workshop all set up for today. With that, everyone, I would love to introduce Alex Martin and Meja Kozova. Alex is a senior product owner for Cambridge Assessment, and Meja creates Cambridge English language exams, and they helped build this incredible world and lessons for you that they're going to walk you through today. With that, I'd love to have y'all take over. Meja, are you there?
Hi,
Maya.
it's Maya. Hi.
And I'm afraid Alex wasn't able to join us today.
You might be mute. Oh, there you are. I hear you.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Alex hasn't been able to join us because he's unwell, so I'm here instead. My name's Marianne Pickles. I'm the head of assessment development at Cambridge Assessment English. So I lead a team of people who develop digital English language products, and I worked on Minecraft with Maya and Alex and our colleague Katerina. Maya, do you want to?
That's right. Yeah. So I am one of the people that Marianne works with. We develop new experiences for learners. We try to integrate technology with Cambridge English expertise in learning and assessment. And today we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the educational value and the lesson plans that we developed along with the game. I'm going to share my screen so you have a bit of a visual, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. All right, so it's a game designed for children, but we believe that anybody who learns English and enjoys fun would enjoy learning English this way. It's a complete blended experience for children who are 8 to 11 years old. It does include fully developed lesson plans. We'll have a look at them later today, but they're thematically linked complete experiences that we believe can be used as standalone learning experiences independently without teacher support. They're all mapped to A1 level, so that's a very beginner level. with a bit of a challenge hidden in as well for the learners to push themselves a bit further above the vocabulary level that's expected of them at this level. And we in Cambridge have exams that are aimed at young learners, and this experience, this learning program is built to help those students who are preparing for the exams.
That's right. And before we move on to the next slide, I don't know how much any of you know about Cambridge Assessment English, but I thought I could just tell you a tiny bit about us. We have been making English language assessments for over 100 years. 1913 was the first time we ran an assessment. Only 3 people took it. But even so, that was the beginning of the journey. And since then, our approach to English language teaching and assessment and learning has evolved in line with evolutions that have come along from a research perspective and from a classroom perspective. And so that brings us to today when we're talking about using a video game to help learn English. And some people don't immediately see the link between these two things. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how we see the connection. When you're thinking about helping people to learn English, at Cambridge, there are certain principles that we think are important. So one of them is context. The language that you learn has to be meaningful, and it has to be embedded in a context that can relate to real life. The next thing is authenticity. So you don't want to be learning bits of language that you won't be able to use in a practical way. You want things to be relatable. Then motivation, of course. There are lots of different ways to motivate learners, of course, but motivated learners tend to be more successful. And then mistakes. This one's really important because there are old-fashioned methodologies related to language learning, which talk about mistakes being terrible and they should be avoided at all costs. We don't believe that. We believe that mistakes are learning opportunities, and we've designed the game with that in mind. And then autonomy. When people have an opportunity to engage with things on a personal level, it makes it more meaningful for them. So Maya, if you want to reveal the next slide. So how does this link with games? Yes. So in terms of building these principles into the game design, we've ensured that the game has a strong narrative. So there's an overarching story that goes from the beginning of the game until the end. The pilot includes a cliffhanger ending, which we hope you will enjoy, but more importantly, that the students will enjoy it. The interactions in the game are purposeful from a language perspective. You're always given a mission, and there's a thing that you're trying to achieve. So you're using the language with that purpose in mind. And something that's really important to bear in mind about young learners in particular, and especially children under the age of 12, is that they make use of their episodic memory in order to help them learn. That means that they need things like stories and personal experience to help them make sense of their learning. So we've designed the game to foster that sense of emotional engagement. The activities in the game, you have the freedom to fail. It doesn't force you to get everything right. Just like in a normal video game, if you fail, you try again, and you persevere and you improve. And then lastly, you have the option to make independent decisions. So you can choose to respond to things in different ways or to go in different directions in certain parts of the game. I've just noticed there's a question in chat from Spain. Is it aimed at any particular English level? Yes, it is. It's designed at it's aimed at A1 level, so quite low. But as Maya said at the beginning, there are certain tasks where we've pushed into A2 to ensure that there's a level of challenge available for the learners as well.
And
so
the content is nuanced as well, so learners who are a bit higher at B1 and B2 will be able to appreciate the nuanced content.
That's right. And although the level we've kept it really low, my personal suspicion is that learners who are B1 or B2 might get something from it as well. The contextualized language practice and the input is very valuable, I would say.
So let's have a look at the game a little bit. We've recorded the video today to avoid any issues. The players, first of all, find themselves in the hub world, which is a big and a beautiful library. Marianne, do you want to take over?
And so when they first arrive, they see a beautiful glittering page on the ground, and it flies up into the air, and they follow it, and the page lands behind a locked gate. So what are you going to do? Well, of course, you're going to try and open the gate, and this introduces the first puzzle type in the game, where they use like a combination lock, and they have to spell the word to perform the action that is relevant to the context. If they get stuck, they have the option of spending one of their coins to buy a hint, which will help them with the answer. There's the hint block there. And yeah, the whole first part of the game that takes place in the library is designed as a tutorial. So all of the examples of tasks that it gives are quite straightforward. So a moment ago, you saw the character walk across some letters in a stepping stone. That was a very easy version of what becomes a more complex puzzle later on. And then we're going to meet Lilac, who is the librarian. Maya, do you want to talk about Lilac?
So she's a character who is the guide, the beacon, and the leader for the learner. She, first of all, wants the player to be engaged. She places the player in the middle of the story. So Marianne mentioned earlier that an engaging narrative is very important for players. And Lilac here is in need. Her library is being destroyed. The books are being ripped. The pages are missing. And she needs a new assistant. She sees the player and she immediately nominates them as her assistant. So this way, the child is engaged straight away, is placed in the middle of the story.
But she wants to test you out a little bit first. And so the first challenge that she gives you to see if you're worthy of being her assistant is, can you bring me a cup of coffee?
That's right. She gives you a vending machine token. She doesn't tell you where exactly the vending machine is. So you have to play, I'm sorry, the technical difficulty about that. The player has to explore the library to find it. And as they explore the library, they find lots of curious and interesting things. So that drives the emotional engagement as well.
And something that I think it's worth noting at this point, do you want to pause it on the list of drinks? Okay, so what Lilac says is, can you bring me a hot drink? And so she gives the player this vending machine token, and they go to the vending machine, and you'll see that there are 6 drink options here. Only one of them is hot. So this is a classic multiple choice question, but it's been embedded in a meaningful interactive context. And we don't stop the students from choosing other answers. So you can exchange the token for a milkshake, for example. And you'll get a milkshake. But then you go back to Lilac, and she isn't too happy. She says, yuck, no, I asked for something hot. And so you have to do it again until you get the right answer. But of course, that's all valuable practice. Did you want to say something about the voice acting?
That's
Maya?
right. Yes, as you noticed, Lilac has a very cute and engaging voice. Our actors have done this on purpose to appeal to the young audience. Let's hear her enjoy the copy.
Finally. Thank you. Now, assistant, show me what you can do.
So this not only drives the emotional engagement, it gives students modeling. In our early user testing, we noticed that kids, especially those who enjoy Minecraft in its own right, skip the dialogues quite a lot and press buttons just to progress through the game. When we introduced voice acting, kids started stopping and listening along in awe because the characters came to life for them. So this way they're getting a bit of language exposure. And what we noticed as well as a byproduct of that voice acting is that kids starting pronouncing the words along. So here, for example, you have an option to say okay. Children would usually say okay if they heard Lilac say something out loud.
Yeah, that was something that we observed in user testing, wasn't it?
That's right. So eventually, yeah, go ahead.
No, go on, go on.
So eventually Lila gives you a few other tasks, such as watering a plant. Again, you might not understand watering or the plant words, but she gives you a very real looking watering can, so you can extrapolate from the context here, and this way you're learning. Children will get a very practical worksheet along, so they can follow the worksheet along as they complete the game. So if they are the type of learner that wants to complete all of the answers on the worksheet, they will probably pay attention to what Lilac has to say, because the key words that she is saying that are crucial for the task will be on the worksheet for the learner to complete.
That's right, and the worksheet is representative of the ripped pages that the students find within the game. So we've made an effort to link the external material with the game itself so that it doesn't just feel like, oh, here's a fun game and a boring worksheet. We'll show you the worksheets later. And another thing I wanted to say about the watering can is that these different language points that come up throughout the game are then reinforced in the supplementary teaching materials and the lesson plans that go alongside.
That's right, and the teacher has the opportunity to consolidate any of the language or interactions that happen within the game. I paused the screen a little bit to demonstrate an empty area in the room. This is the area that will be changing once the players return to it. It will be populated with trophies. So players who pay attention to the language and follow the directions correctly will have a chance to grab 7 trophies in each level.
That's right, and we've purposely designed the trophies so that it's actually very hard to get them all in the first playthrough, because we really want to encourage students to go back after they've played it the first time and repeat the level and consolidate their learning. I think there was a question in the chat about voice. I'm not sure about the Dutch question. We had professional voice actors do the recordings for us. So shall we go into the book?
Yeah. So here we are in the main premise of the game. The books are broken, the pages are torn out, and the players go inside the book to fix the story and help. So again, you are given a clear mission. In this video, you can't see it on the screen, but in the real game, players get mission text displayed, so it helps them know what they need to do next, or what they need to discover. It's not hand-holding. It encourages independence and curiosity and perseverance, which are all learning skills. So here, for example, they are encouraged to interact with the villagers to understand what the problem is, and by doing so, they get exposed to more language, and they hear different ways of saying that there's a problem in the village. So let's have a look.
Where is the water?
I know why the well is dry. Come with me.
So now we've found Elliot, who's our quest giver, but we're not going to follow Elliot at the moment. We're going to skip ahead and talk to Charlie.
We are told to cross the bridge. We find the bridge, but it's blocked by this friendly troll.
Stop.
You can't go past.
So eventually Charlie tells us that the bridge is dangerous, that you can't progress, so the player is faced with a dilemma. In order to progress through the game, they need to cross the bridge, but the troll is blocking the way, and they have a different request for us. His fishing rod is broken, so he needs to get the player to help them to fix the fishing rod.
And it turns out that Charlie's fishing rod isn't broken, it's just that he's trying to use a stick for fishing.
And
he
the
doesn't
clever
know that,
learner,
but the player
clever
knows
learner
that.
will, of course, know that and will be able to help the player. And again, Charlie doesn't give direct instructions. You have to discover on your own what you need to do. You need to find the person in the village who's a blacksmith who'll be able to help you with a fishing rod. All of these words might be new for the learner, but they'll need to discover the meaning and the place where they can make a fishing rod by interacting with the villagers and by exploring the village. So,
that's right. So if you spoke to the villagers initially, they spoke about the problem with the well and the water being missing. But after you receive this mission from Charlie, if you speak to them, pause there, we'll come back to it. If you speak to the villagers after receiving this, then they give you different information and help you to find the blacksmith. Yeah, we've tried to include a certain amount of humor throughout the game. There are a few jokes in there. There's a song. It's not a cheesy song. It's great. I encourage you to go and find it. But here Charlie's saying, if you give a rude response to Charlie, then he says,
oh, I'm from the bridge.
University. Can you make a new fishing rod?
So we need to find Cora. We don't know who she is.
I'm thirsty.
Do you need a fishing rod? Speak to Cora.
Eventually, we find Cora inside her cabin, and she gives us further instructions. Again, here the player is following very real instructions. They need to find 3 sticks and 2 bits of string. They find them in the basement. Again, basement might be a new word, but by exploring the hut, they learn the word.
And another thing to point out, so before we were saying that this is aligned to the A1 level and it can help to prepare students for the A1 level Cambridge exams. Those exams have a word list and a structures list associated with them. So when you see a word like basement, that's one of the words that's on the list. We've obviously included a small number of Minecraft related words because sometimes you need to talk about creepers and things like that. But for the most part, it's A1 and with a small amount of A2. And that includes the grammatical structures.
And this is an example of us trying to use Minecraft tasks as well. So players who are familiar with Minecraft will know that they are able to use a crafting table, for example, but those who aren't familiar with Minecraft will get instructions from Cora. So here they find a recipe on the wall and they follow it to make something that Charlie asked them to make. If they forgot what it is, they get a reminder through the result. So they put 3 sticks together and 2 strings, and they get a fishing rod. Cora congratulates them.
Well done.
And
Happy
they get a
fishing.
nice jingle as well.
If they make it on the first try, or if they give it to Charlie without any hiccups, they also get a trophy, which is quite nice. Here they are also motivated by curiosity.
Is that for me?
What will Charlie say? And Charlie is very happy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And as we said before, any emotional engagement drives learning, actually, because emotions make things more memorable, especially for young children. So here, Charlie tells us, thank you very much, and we can move on to the next task.
And the next task is a more complex version of that stepping stones activity that we saw in the library. So now there's a grid of letters and they have to spell the word bridge. And this is another example of freedom to fail, because if they step on the wrong letter, then the bridge collapses and they fall down. Oh no! But they get put back so they can try again. And that will consolidate their learning of the spelling of that word, which is embedded in the context.
So now we will move on to the demonstration of the last task type. So as you have noticed, oh, sorry, Marianne.
Sorry, just to say that, so from this point, we're skipping way over lots of content, game content, to quite near the end of the game.
That's right.
But just to show you a range of things.
That's right, and we're demonstrating audio input only because, as you have noticed, children are able to read and listen quite a lot, and by the end of the game we believe that they've built up quite a bit of confidence in audio input, and we're giving them a maze task where they have to follow audio directions to get out of a dark and scary looking forest. Players don't have to follow the directions, of course. They can choose to ignore them. If they do, they'll just spend a little bit longer in the maze, and they will not get the trophy.
And they won't get their trophy.
That's right. Here's a pro, Clara.
Turn left and go left.
So Clara helpfully has signs, but they show multiple directions, so the signs are no help. You have to listen to Clara's directions. There is an accessibility option, so if you get it wrong, or if you take a certain amount of time to do it, then the written version of what she said will appear in the top corner, just in case there are students who can't use the audio for one reason or another.
That's right. So we've tried to support the learners. So this is not just building up their confidence, but also giving them the freedom to fail and the ability to complete the game without any struggles. Because one of the biggest killers of motivation, as I'm sure all of you know, is the task being either too easy or too difficult. So we want to make sure that they have enough support to complete. So,
Maya, there are a couple of questions in the chat that I just wanted to pick up on. So David has asked, are there versions for A2 and or beyond? I would say if you're working with A2 learners, do try this version with them. I think there's probably enough in it that they'll benefit from it. If I were still a teacher, I would also want to use it with my B1 classes, and because I think although the level is lower, there's a lot that a teacher can do to bring out the language points, and it is exposure to the language in a context, so I think it could be valuable anyway. And then Mr. Abel has asked, how long do we think it will take the students to complete the whole world? So the world contains several stages. There's the bits that take place in the library, which we call the hub area, and that sort of links the different levels together. In the pilot, you have several of those linking sections, and then 3 main levels that take place in book chapters. Have I said that right? Or is
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So so the bulky sections we think take 30 minutes total to play through. Obviously that will vary to some extent depending on the play style of the person. Because if you go in and try to find all of the secrets and things, then it might take a bit longer, but about 30 minutes for each lesson, and 3 lessons in total.
Yeah, the game in itself provides a lot of valuable input, and as a creative teacher, you would probably, depending on the level of your learner, you could take it as detailed or as free as you like. You could build, if your learners are a bit more able, like you said, A2 or B1 level, they could take more difficult tasks afterwards, such as retelling the story or writing a continuation of the game and taking on more creative tasks like that. Or if your learners are of a lower level, they might need a bit more support, spelling, for example, going over some of the puzzles that they encounter in the game. So it's very versatile and adaptable. And I just wanted to briefly mention the teacher support materials. It's a comprehensive pack, actually, and that we tried to include together with the game in order to make sure that all the teachers have everything that they need in order to cover all of the possible scenarios. So there's lessons for each of the game play levels, as well as instructions on how to set up the game, some troubleshooting alternatives. So for example, if you don't have computers readily available for every student in your classroom, there's alternatives like that.
We've tried to design the materials so that it's suitable for multiple different situations, I suppose. So you can have the learner playing by themselves. You can have the learner playing with a teacher or a parent with them. You can have a class of students playing at home before the lesson and then doing activities that were based on the world in class time, or you can have the actual game being played in class time. So we've tried to include those various options because we know that teachers work in a wide range of contexts.
That's right. So there's, like Marianne mentioned, there's 2 sets of worksheets as well. So we have independent study worksheets where learners can fill in words and find out final passwords when they do play the game independently. And there's also worksheets that are developed for use in the classroom. So these are for the teachers to use to consolidate any of the activities that learners have done within the game and take them even further. So for example, there's a creativity zone as well where learners haven't completed a worksheet, draw the names of their favorite characters, for example, or interview each other or their parents or the teachers and create their profiles that way, because they will have learned quite a lot of vocabulary for describing people and personalities in the game as well, in addition to everything else. Yeah, like Marianne said, there's lots of consideration for different settings and scenarios that you might have with your learners in the classroom. Online learning option is one of the things that was close to our hearts, especially after COVID. So we've made sure to include a walkthrough of online activities as well. Every lesson plan has been designed to be adaptable. So you will have noticed that there's a warm-up stage, there's a gameplay stage, and the gameplay stage can be assigned either as homework prior to the lesson or during the lesson, and to support the teachers and to make sure that you're not lost or not wondering what your players are up to. We've included a complete walkthrough of the game and the teacher support materials completed with screenshots. So you will see exactly what happens and what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think this part is particularly useful for anybody who isn't maybe feeling so confident with Minecraft itself, because of course teachers have a range of different experiences with the technology. So this just walks you through. It tells you where all the secrets are, and so spoiler alert. But that's the step-by-step visual guide. And parents can use this with their children as well if they want to.
Exactly, yeah. There's a version of this existing for parents too, with worksheets that their children can do independently at home. And all of the language in the walkthrough is deliberately graded down to B1 level. So if you have B1 learners, they could probably benefit from reading through some of these scenarios after they've played the game. All of the words that are useful, that we think are useful to learn at this level, are in bold. So this is another resource.
Suggestions for things that you could pull out with your students. Maya, again, there are some questions in the chat that I'd like to come back to. So people are asking, where's the document? How can I refer to these lessons? Okay, so we launched the pilot of the game itself 2 weeks ago, but the teacher support pack I think is coming out on Friday. Is that
Tomorrow.
right? It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow or Friday, yes. But
Okay, by the end of this week, you'll be able to find it on the page.
here.
Okay, perfect. On that page. We're just
and
adding
on
some
that
finishing
page, you will
touches to
have
it.
quite a few resources. You will have a summarized educator's guide explaining a bit more of a rationale and the purpose of each lesson. So that's a 3-pager overview for you. There's a separate walkthrough guide for parents, but you can also use it. It's an exact copy of what you'll have in your teacher support pack. There's separate downloadable worksheets that learners can use independently. And yeah, by the end of this week, you'll find the teacher support pack there as well.
That's right. I think there might have been another question. Oh yes, somebody's asked if this webinar will be available afterwards. I believe it's being recorded and it'll go up on YouTube. So yes, you'll be able to share it. Something else that I wanted to say about the teacher support materials is that we would really love to hear your feedback if you use it with the students on which parts you find useful. Is there, anything that isn't there that you would really like to be there? Because we would love to develop these further. We were a bit spoilt for choice when we were putting it together because based on the game, there are so many possible lessons deriving from it. So you have some sample lessons with this pack, but yeah, we'd love to hear your opinions about it.
Yeah, especially if you have a chance to try it with your learners, to let us know, give us your feedback. It's a document that we hope to update regularly. So if there's any ideas that you'd like for us to include or change, please say so. We'll include the link for feedback on the cover of the teacher's pack as well, so you'll be able to do it there.
Yep. I think that might be everything that we wanted to tell you. Maya, is there anything else? If not,
we hope you play the game yourselves. We've included the walkthrough and the lessons, but there's no better thing than playing through the game yourselves, actually. And we hope to hear your feedback and let us know your thoughts and how your learners found the experience. Would be very curious.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in any of the background information on games-based learning, you can also read a bit more information about it on our blog. There's a few articles that we have posted while we were developing the game as well.
I've seen there's a comment from Ghana who says we would like to have such lessons for starters, movers, and flyers. I would say if you're working with classes at all of those levels, definitely for movers and flyers, this will be perfectly, this will be great. Starters learners might find this one a bit of a challenge, but you could give it a go and see how they get on. It might be that the lessons that you might have to do it in smaller pieces with them, or do a bit of pre-teaching of some of the words and that kind of thing. It could be worth. Unfortunately, we don't have lessons at multiple levels at the moment, so I guess we would encourage you to experiment and see with the ones that we have.
One thing that we are including in the teacher's pack in 2 to 3 weeks' time is the glossary and the grammar bank, including a complete word list of the words and phrases that appear in the game. So that those will probably help you determine which are useful for learners that are preparing for any of our exams, because all of the words have come directly from our young learner word lists.
Word lists, yes, except for a handful of Minecrafty words.
We'll put them in a separate category in the
We can
glossary.
put those in a Minecraft
They're worth
bank,
knowing.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Shelley is asking, how do students access the game world?
So you can access the world directly in the library if you go into Minecraft Education Edition, and you can also...
Wendy shared the link.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the chat. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything that Wendy wants to add, or we could go to taking more questions.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you both so much. If you want to give some claps in the audience using Teams for our incredible presenters today, we hope you were inspired as much as I was. That was really incredible. Look at all those claps. Amazing. Please do, if you have any other questions, your next step is to really go and get this with your students. We really hope that you play this as soon as possible while it's fresh in your mind, and you use some of these tips and strategies that the Cambridge folks have shared with us today. We do have our door prize to give away, so I'm just going to scroll through the chat. Anyone who posted a question or a comment is eligible, and our chat winner is going to be Mr. Bull, Mr. A. Bull. If you can email this email that I'm putting in the chat, we will get you a prize redeemed. Amazing. Thank you all so much. This will be recorded, so you will get an email with the recording back on it. And please let us know if you have any questions. We are here. Again, we hope you join our community, educommunity.minecraft.net. Come join us there. You should also have the links further up in the chat for how to do our Certified Teacher Academy. Somebody asked, how do I learn how to make worlds like this? The first step is becoming a certified teacher and mastering the art of Minecraft. So we hope to see you in our online communities. Thank you so much. Ladies, anything else to add? We really appreciate your time today.
No,
just to repeat, we hope, a pleasure to talk to you about it, and we hope you enjoy it. And if you have any feedback for us, we would be over the moon to hear from you about it.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you online. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.